Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to my marathon series. Today's video is going to be dedicated to talking all about hydration. So everything you need to know about hydrating with water, how electrolytes come into play, all of that good stuff to make sure that you are nice and hydrated and fueled for all of your runs, but especially those longer runs. In the last episode, which was episode 3, I talked all about how to fuel as far as food goes. So I talked about what to eat before, during, and after your runs. I talked all about different macronutrients you want to make sure you're eating at certain times, as well as I gave a lot of examples of different things that you could eat before, during, or after to make sure that you are fueling properly during your runs and really just to help you feel better during those runs. So if you have already been following along in this series, you already know the drill, but I'm going to be talking all about today's topic, which is hydration. I will then give you guys a quick tip, and then also at the end just talk a little bit about my personal experience as I am training currently for the Chicago Marathon. Okay, so let's talk all about hydration. So obviously when you run, you sweat. So it is very important that we are not only hydrated when we start running, but that we're hydrating throughout and then after to replenish any losses that incur during that exercise period. So before you run, you want to make sure that you are very well hydrated. Now, when I say hydrated, I mean drinking water. So as far as how much water is required in order to be hydrated, actually really depends on the person. Your fluid needs are going to vary based on how tall, how much you weigh, and also how old you are, so everyone's fluid needs are going to be different. But on top of that, when we also add in the exercise factor into that, everyone's sweat losses are going to vary, how much a certain person sweats versus another person, and then also weather conditions. Obviously, if you're running in hot, humid weather like I have been, you're going to be sweating way more than if you're running in cooler temperatures. So the biggest rule of thumb that I can give you guys is before you leave for that run, you want to make sure that your pee is like a nice light yellow color. That is like the best indicator you can use because again, everyone's fluid needs are going to be different, so I can't really give a certain amount because it's just going to be irrelevant to so many people. But you want to make sure that your urine is like a light yellow color. If it is too yellow, we all know that that means you need to drink some water, your urine is too concentrated, and your body is going to be holding on to water instead of letting it go out into your urine, which would then dilute it. But also if your urine is like clear, you're probably a little too overhydrated. Your body's working overtime to get rid of extra water, and therefore it completely dilutes your urine down to a clear color, which is just too much. So you want to make sure that you're kind of in that nice happy medium, and just looking at your pee is the best indicator to know whether or not you are hydrated enough to start your run. So then the next thing that you want to think about is hydrating during your run. So when you're in the midst of exercise, you're obviously going to be losing fluid through sweat losses, but you're also going to be losing electrolytes. So you want to not only be replacing those water losses by drinking more water, but you're also going to want to take in some electrolytes. So the most common thing is like, oh, you just grab some Gatorade or Powerade or something like that. And the rule of thumb is about every like 45 minutes to an hour. Again, this really varies across different people, but somewhere in that ballpark is when you're going to want to replace or replenish those electrolytes. Now, like I said, Gatorade, Powerade, those are very popular options that you can definitely use in order to replenish your electrolytes. And typically that's probably what is going to be served or offered on the stations along, like the hydration stations along your race, whatever road race you're running. So it's not a bad idea to at least familiarize yourself with whatever hydration is going to be offered at the race that you're going to be running. But at the same time, I know a lot of people prefer to use other ways to get their electrolytes in because Gatorade and Powerade aren't exactly the most natural thing on earth. They of course have a lot of sugar in them. And also something I want to note, if you are to drink Powerade or Gatorade or something like that, they tend to be about double the concentration of electrolytes like compared to what you would find in our blood. So they're actually a lot more concentrated than what we would typically need. So you want to make sure that you don't necessarily have to dilute your Gatorade because that's not going to taste very good, but you want to make sure that you're taking in both Gatorade and water, either like flip-flop them, or you just want to make sure that you're getting water in as well to kind of dilute that down, because it's just more than you need. And if you really go crazy with chugging the Gatorade, all of those electrolytes, specifically like sodium and also the sugar in that Gatorade, if you're chugging a ton at once and it's all going through your empty stomach and down into your intestines, it can actually have what's called an osmotic effect, meaning that sugar and that water is going to pull water to it to dilute it down. And when you have water abruptly pulled into your intestines, that's going to give you a lot of distress and potentially even diarrhea, which nobody wants, especially when they are in the middle of a run. So as far as electrolyte alternatives, if you don't want to go for the sports drinks, at least on your training runs, some different things that are available are, there are so many electrolyte powders out there, or you can even get like tablet forms. I know Nuun tabs, I think it's N-U-U-N, those are like electrolyte tablets and they come in a little plastic bottle. Those are really popular. They don't have any sugar, I believe. I think they're sweetened with stevia, so if you don't want sugar, that could be a good option. And I believe they do also have caffeine. I actually have these ones right here. This is from the Hammer brand. I just got this at like a local cycling store. And again, so these are like those little tabs. They're lemon lime flavor and you drop them in water and drink them. The only thing that I don't like about these is you have to like drop it in water and then pretty much drink most of it, because don't make the mistake I did and put one of these in one of your hydration belt bottles and then go for your run, because it will spout all over you like a whale spout in the middle of your run and scare the crap out of you. So that's just a little tip that I learned along the way. But so you could use something like this, or you could use a powder and you could just mix it up yourself so you don't have to use a sports drink if you don't want. Osmo Active Hydration, I think, is another really popular brand that I came across when I was just doing some research online. They have a men's formula as well as a women's formula. I do believe that does have sugar, and I don't think that one has caffeine. Another one that seems to be highly recommended, that's a powder, is called Perpetuum. That might be also just like a full-on fuel, like you wouldn't need any gels or anything alongside of that. I'm honestly not sure, I'm not super familiar with it, but I wanted to make sure I mentioned it because a lot of people talk about Perpetuum. For me personally, I'm still kind of experimenting right now with figuring out how to get electrolytes in on my long runs, because I do wear a hydration belt, which my next video is going to be all about gear, so like belts, shoes, music I like to listen to, all of that fun stuff. That will be covered in my next video, so I will show you my actual belt then. But I do have a hydration belt, and I really just like to fill the bottles with water, because that's just what, I'm just so thirsty on my runs and I just want water. I don't want like a sweet fizzy drink. So still kind of figuring out how to hydrate myself properly on my long runs, because in the first marathon I did, I trained in the winter and I just did not get nearly as sweaty, and it just wasn't something that I really needed. I was able to get, you know, some electrolytes from the goos that I was taking down, which I am still using this time around, so that's helping as well. But it's just something that's kind of new for me, but I'll let you guys know in a later video if I do find something that works better. But for now, I'm just going to be bringing a tab of this along with me and sticking it in a water bottle and just chugging that down. And then of course, for after the run, you want to make sure that you are definitely drinking a lot of water as well as replenishing those electrolytes again, because when you're out running, exercising, and sweating, you're going to be losing both fluid and those electrolytes, like I said. So you want to make sure you are hydrated when you leave for that run. You want to make sure you're bringing in some water and electrolytes during it. And then at the very end, you want to make sure you are completely replenishing and rehydrating yourself. So that is pretty much everything I have regarding hydration. I hope that you guys found that helpful, but please let me know down below if you have any products you swear by as far as like electrolyte powders or like tabs, something like this. But more importantly, how you, I almost dropped it. More importantly, how you use them and like utilize them mid-run. I would love to hear your guys' ideas, because like I said, I'm experimenting and I'm kind of new with this. So I would love to hear what you guys have to say. And now for my running tip for this episode. This thing that I'm about to show you will be your best friend if you are training for a long distance race, because it's seriously amazing and everybody needs one. And that is a foam roller. So this little guy is actually just a mini one. Typically they are much larger and actually a lot easier to use. But the one that I have is just the small one, and I do make it work. But so basically what you do with this is you roll it all over, I mean any muscle, but particularly your legs when you're running, and your hips. And it's actually very solid. Although it's foam, it's a very just tough, hard foam. So it kind of hurts. It like hurts so good. It's like kind of when you get like a deep tissue massage. It's almost like that good pain. and you just kind of roll it. Like I'll put it on the ground or like on a carpet, and I'll like actually put my legs like on top of it and roll myself. And instead of just using this manually to roll, I find that if my like weight is on it, it works so much better. And basically it just creates like myofascial release, I think is how you say it, but it just really helps you with recovery and also just reducing soreness, and it just feels so good after a long run when your hips and your legs, everything is just tight and it hurts. So just rolling this bad boy on your calves and your hamstrings, your quads, even a little bit on your hips, it just feels so good. So you gotta have a foam roller. I almost forgot what it was called. And now for a little bit about how my training is going personally. So by the time you guys are watching this, I will be in week 9 officially, which is super exciting because that means I am just about halfway. When I finish week 9, I will be halfway because it is an 18-week program. So the good thing about that is I'm halfway done almost, but the bad thing is the second half tends to be a lot harder because there are some serious long runs in there. So I've got a 17, an 18, and 19, and a 20-mile run, and then also some like 12, 13, and 8-mile runs mixed in there as far as just like drop back weeks and then tapering at the end. So still got a lot ahead of me, but I am getting there. Last week we had the most amazing break in the humidity. We've had such crazy humidity lately, and I was actually talking a lot about on my Snapchat how these past 4 weeks or so have been really hard as far as training goes, at least for the long runs, because every weekend I obviously had a long run, and they're not even crazy long yet, and they were just, I mean, so incredibly challenging because the humidity was just so high that it doesn't matter how in shape I am, I cannot breathe the entire run. So to do that for over 2 hours is just like, I mean, it's torture, and it just took literally every ounce of anything I had left in me to put one foot in front of the other. I was close to tears a few times on a lot of those runs, but you know, I did get through them. But it's just like, it was getting a little bleak there for a minute, and I was just starting to get really demoralized. But last week, like I said, we had a break in the humidity. We had 2 days of basically no humidity. It was in the low 70s, it was cool, it was cloudy, and it was just like the best thing I've ever felt. So I actually did my long run, which was 15 miles, smack dab in the middle of the week, because there was no way in hell I wasn't taking advantage of that insanely beautiful weather. So I actually did my long run then. So I am overall doing well. I'm meeting all my mileage requirements for every week. No injuries or anything like that, just trying to stay positive and just deal with this humidity that is nuts. But I know that in the fall this probably won't be an issue, fingers crossed. So it may be difficult now, but it will just be that much easier on race day when I'm not running in like basically over 100-degree heat with humidity. That is all I have for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe if you are enjoying these videos. Give it a thumbs up, and if you have any friends that are either interested in running, want to get into running, or you know are about to run a race soon, definitely let them know about the series because I think that they would find it helpful. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram and Snapchat to hang out on more of a daily basis. I talk a lot about my running experiences on a day-to-day on my Snapchat. I'm always on there, so hope to see you guys on there. But that is all I have for today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye!